Welcome to Love the Rhône You're With. I'm Kirsten, and today I'm going to be talking about Saint Joseph. This long stretched appellation in the Rhône Valley it was officially established as its own AOC in 1956. In the beginning, vineyards were planted on these hillsides, which is really ideal for that sun exposure that the grapes actually need. And the best wines are typically going to be coming from those vineyard locations. But as vineyards were being established in this expansive area, grapes were being planted on more plateaued areas. So when it comes to wines from Saint Joseph, there's a range in quality. So for starters, the appellation is long and large, like I've said. But there are also many producers that are making wine from here. So grapes are being harvested from varying locations, the hillside vineyards as well as those planted on plateaus. The soil in Saint Joseph is a granite-based soil with some clay as well as some sand, but this changes depending on the area of Saint Joseph that you're in. So the northern vineyards have more similar profiles, soil profiles to those in Chateau Grelais as well as Condrieu. But as you travel down through the southern area, those wines made from grapes from there, are, it's said that they're a little bit more acidic based on their soil composition. Now, wine in Saint Joseph is made from 3 different types of grapes. So for red wine, it's Syrah, as we've already discovered from the other appellations in Northern Rhône. But then the white grape varietals are Marsanne as well as Roussanne. And I really consider that Saint Joseph wines to be quite the bargain, because not only are they really easy to find, but they come at a really great price point. So easy to find, doesn't hurt the wallet, but also they're designed to be drank young. So if you don't want to wait to open a bottle and you really want something now, it's easy to find something that's young and affordable. So I have 5 different wines right here. I have a couple whites, and then I have 3 reds that I'm anxious to taste with you. So grab a glass, let's get tasting. So I'm going to be tasting through 5 wines from Saint Joseph. 2 white wines, one that's 100% Roussanne, one that is mainly Marsanne, but also has Roussanne in it as well, and then 3 different Syrahs. So the first wine I'm going to taste is the 100% Roussanne from Saint Joseph. This has a really interesting nose. So it's incredibly fresh and crisp. I'm getting pineapple, white peach, maybe some honeycomb in there. Let's give it a taste. That is incredibly smooth. It has a creaminess to it that makes it really, really easy to drink. It's a more of a thick mouthfeel, like on that palate, very buttery, maybe some oak in there, but it's not as acidic as I think that I would want it to be. But overall, very nice. Wine number 2, this one right here, is primarily Marsanne, but also has Roussanne in it. This has a really interesting nose to me. So it smells almost as if you open a box of crayons and you get this like waxiness, and it takes you back to when you were a kid and you used crayons a lot. That is like the immediate smell that I have right now. So I'm getting this waxy crayons. Maybe it's beeswax, I don't know. But to me, it just reminds me of crayons. But it also has an interesting kind of spicy note to it, like an herbaceousness and a sweetness. So I feel like the nose for me, I'm having a hard time really pinpointing it, but the main takeaways are I'm getting like a waxiness. I'm getting some spicy, herbaceous, maybe even some arugula up in there. And like very subtle like notes of lemon. Interesting. I would consider this to be like a medium body wine. So on the palate, it's not a super light wine, but it's also not a super heavy or thick wine either. So not quite as viscous as maybe a Viognier might be. But it has great acidity to it. I really like that. More acidity than the first one. Definitely, I would consider this more of a savory wine versus a fruity wine. On to the third wine. I'm going with this one. It's a 2015 Syrah. Ooh. I'm getting a funky nose, like a little bit of minerality, maybe that forest floor decomposition vibe. And I'm not really sure if it's due to the minerality that I'm smelling, because I typically get that in these old world wines. It's really, really interesting. Maybe a little bit of like olive tapenade in there, a little spicy or saltiness. I get some spices too. I'm smelling maybe some thyme or bay leaf in there. Very subtle though, but it definitely reminds me of cooking something. I don't know what I'm cooking. I'm also getting almost like a burnt rubber smell. So like if you're in a parking lot and someone peels out, but you're not necessarily close to it, but you still get that little smell of burnt rubber. That is, I'm definitely picking up something along those lines here. It's a really nice acidity to it. Some nice tannins as well. So my mouth is watering, but it's also starting to kind of get dried out a bit from the tannins, but I wouldn't say it's overly tannic. I think it's pretty well balanced. I'm getting some cherries, maybe like tart cherries, some plums on there. Interesting. On to wine number 4. That's this one right here. Very savory nose for sure. Definitely some minerality in there. I would say like I'm walking through a forest with redwoods everywhere is what it reminds me of. Not quite that like forest floor decomposition that I get from the first wine, but more so I'm just in nature, and it reminds me of being next to big redwood trees. I'm getting some like medicinal notes as well. So maybe there are eucalyptus trees there, but there's, I don't know why I feel like I'm surrounded by trees when I smell this wine, but it's a good feeling. I really, really like the nose. Incredibly savory versus fruity. And it's kind of reminds me of camping, but I'm not getting quite the smokiness that some of these Syrahs from Northern Rhône give or provide like in the nose. It smells, it has a really nice nose to it. Great acidity on the palate. Tastes like I just ate a bunch of really dark cherries. So they're sweet, but they're also really tart at the same time. I wouldn't say like maraschino cherry, but I would say a darker cherry. Softer tannins on this one than the first one. So it's not really making my mouth as dry, but it's making my mouth water. So for me, it's higher in acidity than the tannins that in comparison to the first wine. It doesn't have a very long finish either, so it leaves me going back for another sip to maybe capture a little bit more of what I'm getting on the palate. On to wine number 5, last wine. And that's this guy right here. I'm getting that musty, damp forest floor again. I know I feel like I say that quite frequently when it comes to Northern Rhône red wines. I get this like musty minerality to it. So I got that in all 3 of these, and I've definitely smelled that in some of the other wines that I've tasted as well from the same region. There's a sweetness to this one that I don't really quite get from the previous 2, that it reminds me of when I make a pie, the filling for a pie, like macerated berries, or if I'm making a tart, something like that. There's this buttery nose too. So this one's kind of taking me back to as if I am baking something fruity, but also has a little bit of a savoriness to it. Maybe getting a little bit of cardamom, and the savoriness I'm getting isn't as peppery as much as it is a brininess, like slight saltiness to the nose, but not quite. I wouldn't necessarily say olive tapenade like I would with sun, but there's definitely a little bit of brininess in the nose. This is quite nice. Amazing acidity. I'm still watering. My mouth is still watering from the acidity. Really great acid on this one, which I've said it before, but I think when a wine has a lot of acid, it makes me want to keep drinking it because I feel like I need it. I need more of it. So great acidity on this one, which tells me this one right here is a 2016. I feel like this could age for a few more years and would still be quite nice. Has a very mineral taste to it as well. This one is probably my favorite of the 3 reds. The minerality I'm getting on my tongue, yes, it's very acidic, but the tannins are also drying my mouth out just a bit, and it's almost like you're licking a wet rock. So it has these notes of outside, but it's not dry and chalky on the palate. I would say it's just the perfect amount of minerality and tannin structure to acidity that I'm getting. And I would definitely say that this one is my pick of the 3 reds. Very, very nice. So I've tasted through all 5 wines, and I would have to say of the 2 whites, the one that I would buy again, these are so different from each other, and I definitely like them for different reasons, but I'm gravitating towards this one, which is it's mainly Marsanne, but has a little bit of Roussanne. The thing that's really captivating to me about this particular one is that it's 100% Roussanne, and I found that a little harder to find. I wanted a Roussanne and I wanted a Marsanne from this area, but this was the best that I could do, and both great, and I would definitely recommend either of these. Now for the reds, I would have to say my pick would be the Vernay. This one, just the acidity, the tannin structure, and just everything about it makes me want more of it. And these are also delicious, but I've got to go with number 5 for this one. So thank you so much for joining me on Love the Rhône You're With. I hope you had a good time, and cheers.